arbitration figure. We'll take that hit for 2025 because we need players. We need major leaguers. We need guys that can step in and step up as we figure out which prospects we want to have on the roster. And he might not be a bad guy to have young players learn from as well if he is in the semi-long-term cards for the Rays.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays. From game analysis to player interviews, we've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a diehard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs or Carl Crawford,
we're here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this is our 6th season covering the Rays daily.
And every season they've gone to the playoffs, probably not looking so hot this year, but still season left. In the meantime, grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
This episode is brought to you by SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast, shop for your next plumbing, h-vac, or electrical job, and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com.
Well, we have on a Monday episode our takeaways from the weekend that was. The Rays avoid the sweep barely against the Baltimore Orioles at home, but that's pretty much to be expected based on the makeup of this team right now and the opponent that the Rays are and were battling up against. But aside from that, I do want to start with my takeaway on a positive angle. Okay. Because we need to glean some positives from this season and where we are presently. And that is one of the Rays acquisitions in the fire sale, as I like to call it, Dylan Carlson. Dylan Carlson has been a strong addition in his 8+ games with the Rays. He's batting .273, has a pair of homers, .385 on base, .591 slug, .976 OPS. Is he going to keep that up? Absolutely not. But to me, I believe he's made a really strong impression. And just over the course of the weekend, we saw some of that impression. On Friday, he had a home run. I mean, it was kind of a garbage time home run, but in the bottom of the ninth, a moonshot in height, taking advantage of a fastball, 96 middle. And then on Sunday, he was really integral in the Rays pulling out a victory there with a pinch hit, game-tying RBI single in the bottom of the 7th. So could this be the Rays' next reclamation project? Possibly. It also could just be a half-year rental. This wouldn't be the first time that we've seen a guy come to the Rays and do impressive things, and then the Rays are like, all right, we liked what you provided for half the season, couple months, but we're ready to go ahead and move on from you, Jordan Luplow, Eric Sogard, Jesus Aguilar, and Nelson Cruz. So my question is, because Dylan Carlson right now, he is making around $2.3 million. He's, of course, in the midst of arbitration. He's arbitration eligible next season as well, and then will be a free agent in 2027. If he, not saying he will keep up these exact numbers, but really does damage on a new team, new scenery, and seeing what he has the ability. It's just injuries have hampered him year after year. If the Rays may say, okay, we will pay that, whatever it is, $4 or $5 million arbitration figure. We'll take that hit for 2025 because we need players. We need major leaguers. We need guys that can step in and step up as we figure out which prospects we want to have on the roster. And he might not be a bad guy to have young players learn from as well if he is in the semi-long-term cards for the Rays.
I think you make a good point of, Aguilar and Sogard and the rest. Like, this could be his path. of just being, hey, thank you for what you gave us for 50 or so games. Here's the door. I could easily see that from the Rays with Dylan Carlson. Now, if he, obviously, like you said, a 976 OPS, I feel pretty comfortable saying that that's not Dylan Carlson.
Right.
A 976 OPS, like that's elite baseball player type of stuff. Now, can a good baseball player be a 976 OPS guy for half a season? Yeah, half a season seems a lot, but 50 games, 40 games, okay, I can believe that. Especially if you're in a team like the Rays where they pick their spots of when they're going to start you, and hey, this guy, his stuff, the pitcher aligns very well with your bat, with your swing path, perfect, those sorts of things. But the fact that he's during arbitration makes me think maybe not, they don't keep him. But then again, he's an outfielder and you need some outfield depth right now because you never know what you have. It's not like, Cameron Meisner is getting a ton of playing time, or, Josh Lowe. Is he going to bounce back like last season?
There's question marks.
There's question marks in the outfield. So I can see that, that they might, if he just does okay, that they are like, okay, let's bring some competition in for spring training for next year. I can definitely see that. But I don't think it's a slam dunk yes or no either way. I really don't.
And it could be something too where, again, if the Rays obviously are going to try to remain competitive, but you pay him whatever he's due in 2025, and if he continues the streak that he's on and is an impact player, and you're in a situation like next season where you feel like you have to sell off an asset or two, not saying you're going to get a big haul, similar to a Med Rosario. You're not going to get much of anything for trading a guy like that. You might as well keep him on the roster and let him marinate and then find a new home for him halfway through next year. Clearly, the Rays targeted him for a reason, because in trading Sean Armstrong to the Cardinals, they could have just said, hey, we want a complex league prospect. We want a single A prospect. We want a lottery ticket. But there is a skill set in Dylan Carlson in the fact that he can play the corner outfield spots. He is a switch hitter. So that allows the Rays to open up their creativity. And he was a former top prospect in the Cardinals organization and is still just 25 years old. I know he's been in the league since 2020. But he made his debut as a really young kid. And then, of course, injuries just hampered him from there. But in the very limited action that we've seen him with the Rays, we have seen power from both sides. We have seen the ability to hit the ball up the middle in the other way. He just seems to have a good feel for hitting. And if you notice, if you watch closely, with 2 strikes, he really does a good job of shortening up his stroke and trying to protect and just putting a ball in play. Where when he has 0 or 1 strikes, then that's where he can be a little bit more aggressive and swing for the fences. And right now it's working for him. Now, some of it could be the fact that changing leagues from national to American, maybe the opposing teams haven't really quite figured him out as of yet, but that could also work the other way. Maybe, a position player gets to a new league and he doesn't figure out the opposing pitcher. So I think there's a lot to be mixed in with that. But I mean, the Rays and baseball in general has had a solid history with former Rays outfielders. You look at Tommy Pham, you look at Randy Rosarena, and then across the league, the Cards ship off Harrison Bader, Adolis Garcia, and Randall Grichuk. The Cardinals just seem to be an organization that just has like a billion outfielders and they don't know what to do with them and they have to trade them and get what they can.
Isn't it so funny how like some organizations just like have like a niche kind of thing?
Yeah.
No, but really it's very difficult to put it all together. It's
the Rays niche is relievers that nobody's heard of that turn into quasi all-stars.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're really good at that. AKA last one, Jason Adam. With Dylan Carlson, look, this guy was the one season where he was like fully healthy. He had a 780 OPS and he was third in the Rookie of the Year award. So that was 149 games. And that's almost a complete season. Honestly, in the baseball that we play today, old man voice, 149 games, pretty much the whole season.
Right.
Pretty much the whole season. So I think right now with the offense that we have seen, and I'll get more into that next segment. A guy that hits 266 with a 780 OPS and gives you 18 bombs, boy, oh boy, would we take that easily. We would take that so fast. So can he be that guy? Can he stay healthy? I think that's the thing. It's if they think that they can somehow limit his issues of staying on the field,
Right.
then yes. The issue is Tropicana Field ain't friendly for the body, especially in his position, which is the outfield with the turf. I mean, we've had countless stories with BJ Upton, Desmond Jennings, Carl Crawford. It ain't good for the knee. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because it is one of the few good feel-good stories that we can talk about at this juncture. And Ulises, in the next segment, you'll give us a little bit of a reality check. But first, we have to tell the audience something very important.
Yes, we do. And sometimes things that are very important take time. But you know what doesn't take time? When you order stuff from SupplyHouse. You can order from the website, and that's made for skilled traders just like you. Find thousands of parts from hundreds of brands in just a couple of clicks at SupplyHouse.com. You can get plumbing supplies, HVAC, electrical supplies with fast delivery anywhere in the US. And there's great news for plumbers, technicians, and contractors. Being a pro has its perks. Trade industry professionals can join their free Trade Master program for free shipping and serious discounts on every order. You can join over 100,000 pros already in the Trade Master program that has delivered results. And if you apply for your membership today, you will get a competitive advantage on every order at supplyhouse.com/TM. Save money and time when you order online. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service, Supply House.
Hit it in the comments if you think Dylan Carlson will be a Ray in 2025. Just want to throw that out there. All right, Ulises, what is your takeaway observation from the weekend that was?
I know the Rays were not swept. But like you said, but like you said, real close. That was close. I don't think that there is a disparity between the Orioles and the Rays. I think there is a chasm. It is noticeable how these two teams are almost playing different sports. The Baltimore Orioles have just been bullying the Tampa Bay Rays this year. They are 1-8. Okay, they've played 9 games. The Orioles have won 8. There's a -28 run differential. -28. The days of bullying the orange and black are over. Okay. Now
we had a good run there for several years where the Rays would go, 14-4 before
18-1. Remember that? 18-1 in 2021. That was pretty nice. Or 19-1, something crazy.
And then Randy would hit like 450 against the Orioles cumulative.
It was like he was our Gleyber Torres. Now we have entered the era, not the Taylor Swift era, but the era of being bullied by the Baltimore Orioles. It has begun, and we're getting bullied. We're getting bullied and bullying badly. This team, the Rays, they are 5.5 games back from the 3rd spot in the wild card. I don't want to. I'm usually very positive with how the standings work because, again, like I said, if you've lived through 2011 and you saw 9 games back and you saw them come through, you shouldn't really be scared at standings and games back if you're a Rays fan. However, that time there was only one team in front of you. Now there are several teams in front of you. And when you have a team that looks like it does offensively, I think it's time to say this is not a playoff team. I am on August 12th. I am ready to be wrong on late September, and be like, well, they made it. Oh, okay, I was wrong. But right now, I feel like it would be disingenuous to keep saying that this is a playoff team. I think this is not a playoff team, and I'll tell you why. First of all, they haven't gotten away from the 500 plateau. They really haven't. 3 games up, they come down. 4 games up, come down. 6 games down, hey, they come up. Okay, they're a 500 team.
Yeah.
Right now, they're sitting at 59 and 58. They have 45 games left. 45 games left.
I don't think they're going to win or get to 86 wins. I see 81 to 84 at this juncture. I mean, this team was barely a playoff team when they had their full squad before the fire sale. And now look at the group that we have. I mean, some of the lineups that we're throwing out there, it's you got some Durham Bull. You got a lot of Durham Bulls names in there.
Yeah,
now, maybe they'll become something in the future, but right now it's a lot of figuring crap out, playing young players, see who's going to fit in the equation for next year and beyond.
They would have to go 28 and 17. 28 and 17. I don't even see that either.
Yeah.
I don't see 28 and 17 from this team because they haven't shown it through August 12th. Look, and for those that are like, no way, look, let's just run through this. This is going to be tough, guys. Okay. So if you're not sitting down, sit down. If you don't have a drink, get a drink. This is not going to be pretty. Okay. Their expected win-loss record is 53 and 64. That means that this team is actually overperforming. Can you believe that? This team that you have seen this year is overperforming. They're actually supposed to be worse.
I believe it. They've had some quote unquote lucky wins down to the wire.
And everything just points to 500. 31 and 31 record at home, 28 and 27 away. And against teams that are higher than 500, they're 30 and 33. And now, this is where it gets ugly, people. They have a 100 WRC plus, literally mediocre, average. Okay, that's 15th in the league. How about strikeouts? 24.3%. That's 8th worst in all of MLB. How about their ISO? What's their pop like? Well, it's 141. That's 26th in the league. How about their OPS? 686. That's 23rd in the league. How about their batting average? It's 25th in the league. How about their hard hitting percentage? It's 21st in the league. How about their ground ball percentage? Yeah, they hit it in the ground a lot. 8th worst at 43%. Do they have home runs? Of course they have home runs. No, they do not. They're in the 26th in MLB with 110. Well, they probably don't strike out that much now, do they? 1,053 strikeouts, 8th worst in all of MLB. But they get a lot of hits. No, they don't. 904 hits is 26th in the league. That's how many stats did I bring up with the offense? This is not a good offensive team. If you look at those lineups that Topkin posts right before the game, Kevin, you're right. There's like 4 or 5 guys that you're like, these are more like AAA, quad A guys than actual major leaguers here.
And you're throwing them like in the middle of the order too.
Yeah, because you have nobody else.
Right.
You have nobody else. So I'll end with this. When you look at those lineups, there's only 2 guys really there that are scary. I know people want to make a whole thing about Morel, and I know
he's not there yet. I mean, he's not. We talked about Dylan Carlson, Chris Morel. Outside of that debut couple games, he's fallen back down to earth. Now, can he pick it up again? Small sample size, sure, absolutely. But right now, it's not like he's an incredibly intimidating presence.
No, and good for Dylan Carlson, but like you said, what was it? 22 games, I think, not even 50 plate appearies.
I mean, with the Rays, only 8 games.
Yeah. So again, small sample size. Really, there isn't a lot of threat. There isn't a lot of like fear when you look at the Rays lineup, except for Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lau. That's it. There are Juan Soto and our Aaron Judge, except Yandy Diaz and Brennan Lau are not Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. So when you look at the lineup, not scary at all, except for those two guys. And those two guys, although scary, not scary.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the last point offensively to this team. Can you guess how many intentional walks they have had this year?
Well, the only one that really sticks out wasn't there earlier in the year when Palacios was walked so the opposing team could bring up Randy during his crazy struggles. So I'm going to double that and say they've had 2 intentional walks this year.
That was early. That was in May, right? Or was it April?
It was pretty early, I believe.
Oof, that's rough. The leaderboard. So it's actually Cleveland leads the league with 24.
Okay.
24 intentional walks, actually 25. It's been updated since yesterday. The Rays are sitting there with 7 at 25th.
I believe it. Yeah.
25th in the league. By the way, the worst team is the Anaheim Angels or that Los Angeles Angels with 3. By the way, sitting at 6 is the Chicago White Sox.
Not good. Yeah, it's definitely a lot different than the Baltimore Orioles, where not only do you have more than 2 intimidating players, you have like 7 intimidating players, and they're young and they're only getting better, and they're hitting for a lot of pop. Like they call up Jackson Holiday, and he's figured things out, so he's probably going to be a monster in the future. They still have one of the best farm systems in all of baseball, like 6th or 7th, if you look at the industry standards out there. And they actually went out and were proactive and made acquisitions, spent money for pitching. Corbin Burns, Zach Eflin. So the Orioles are going to be a horse for years and years to come. Whether Burns and Eflin stay with the organization or not, they have such a good core and group offensively and pitching wise as well, where all they have to do is infill a piece here and there, and they're set.
It's a set organization. They tanked to perfection, really. So I agree with all of that. But just to put a little bow on the Rays, don't just take one stat, okay? Because the intentional walk, I think the Braves haven't got intentionally walked that much.
Maybe it's because you have so many damaging hitters that you intentionally walk one, you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot with another.
Right, just put a lot more people on base. That's not
the case with the Rays.
But so don't just take one stat that I've mentioned. I've mentioned 15 or so.
Yeah.
So it's the conglomeration. It sucks to say it. I don't believe the Rays are a playoff team in 2024. I don't know if that's how you also feel, Kevin. But
no, I feel that way. It's looking forward to college football and NFL season, frankly.
I know, and I want you guys to take this in a good way. Like, this means that in the 5th inning, if you're not feeling it, go watch something else.
Yeah, go watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie or something. Or go out and touch grass, as Ulises likes to say.
Exactly. Or you know what? You can head to Ibotta.
Yeah, you could head to Ibotta. That is a great place to head to because Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Did you know the average Ibotta user earns $256 per year? That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, that flight you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Some other apps out there give you points that don't really amount to much, but with Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift card. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and there we go. The money is yours. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite, like I said, grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and beyond. It is time that you Rays fans join the over 50 million users who use Ibotta to earn cash back every time Bay shop. So this is very important here. Right now, Ibotta is offering listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB.
I love sports. I know you do too, Kevin. You love sports too. And in fact, we love sports so much that we're masochists to the point that we still watch Rays games in 2024. And you might be too if you were listening and watching to this podcast. So guess what? FanDuel is the right place for you because it lets you keep going with the sports all day long whenever you want. You just have to open the app and you can dream up bets anytime that you're in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to fanduel.com and start making the most out of your summer. Perhaps make the most out of your summer like Randy Arozarena is in Seattle or Zach Eflin is in Baltimore. Just having a ball. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
We also want to tell you to make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on the YouTubes or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you're watching on your YouTube, you see that graphic there of a girl on her first day of school wearing a Rays hat and crying, tearing up profusely. I don't know if it's because it's the first day of school or because the Rays are struggling. Maybe both. Maybe not mutually exclusive there. So getting the polls from the audience out there before we wrap up here. We put it out on the X machine. What's your biggest takeaway from the Rays Orioles weekend series? Our buddy Quinlan Deegan says we should be impressed with how well the team has managed the pivot after losing the centerpiece to all their plans, absent shortstop. They'll be competitive again next year. This year will be about finishing above 500 and not making the playoffs. Samuel Bayless says only a couple of big hits away from winning the series. Jake Stokes says team needs work, but aren't as far away from contention as some people think. Chris Snyder agrees with me and says Dylan Carlson was a steal, and Morel has no business in the infield. I will say this. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Dylan Carlson was a steal. He's on a good trajectory right now, but any major leaguer, any professional athlete can have a good series, good couple games, good run, and then fall to the face of the earth. So I am not suggesting that Dylan Carlson is now Juan Soto or anything like that. Still a lot to be done. But if he can be average, above average, and stay healthy, maybe the Rays may have something on their hands. And then William says, Rays need some hitters. Brandon and Diaz are the only two that can hit. So there we go. That pretty much sums up the weekend that was, unfortunately.
I agree with Quinlan. I think this year will just be about, hey, let's not make it a below 500 year.
Right.
To 82, 83 wins, call it a victory, call it a W. And 2025, with the rotation, how it's set up, the pitching should be really, really good. And we have had a lot. And what I mean, a lot of savings. Perhaps Stu can, say, hey, you know what?
Pocketbooks.
You know what we need? We need some hitters. Because I was listening to the Locked On Rays podcast, and boy, oh boy, are the offensive stats this year are awful. So he maybe just goes down and calls Eric Neander.
Yeah, there we go. Stu listens to the show. That is confirmed, as does Kevin Cash. So maybe they will open the pocketbooks up a little bit, but there's also a new stadium to pay for as well. So that remains to be seen what will happen. That will wrap up this edition of Locked On Rays. Thanks as always for making us your first listen every day. Make your second listen the Locked On MLB podcast with our buddy Sully. Check that out. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.